Today I'm going to be showing you how to crochet a mason jar cozy for those 1-quart jars. And this is great for drinking liquids out of, and the cozy really helps protect your hand from the hot and cold. And for this mason jar cozy, I am working with some size 4 medium weight cotton yarn, and this is just the Lily Sugar and Cream brand, and the color is Jute. I'm also going to be using a size G or 6 or 4 1/4 of a millimeter crochet hook. And we're going to work this cozy from the bottom up. So we're going to begin with a magic circle. Then we're going to chain 2 and place 11 double crochets inside of our magic circle. And I did want to mention that if you are unfamiliar with any of the stitches used in this pattern, including that magic circle, then check the links in the description because I will have all of my stitch tutorials listed down there for you. And once you have your 11 double crochets, then I want you to pull on your tail, and that will tighten the gap in your magic circle. So we're going to join this last row by skipping our chain 2, and then we're going to slip stitch into the top of our first double crochet. And you can go ahead and just line your tail up with that stitch, and we're just going to place our slip stitch right here. And we're just going to treat the tail like it is part of our stitch. For row 2, we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to place 2 double crochets in each stitch in our row, going all the way around and starting with this current stitch where we've already placed our slip stitch. And again, if you would like to crochet over your tail, just treat it like it is part of your stitch and work right over it. So when you get to the end of your row, you should have a total of 22 double crochets. And at the end of your row, make sure you haven't accidentally worked in your slip stitch. And we're going to skip that slip stitch as well as our chain 2, and then place a slip stitch in the top of our first double crochet to join. For row 3, we're going to begin with a chain 2, and then we're going to place 1 double crochet in this first stitch, and then 2 double crochets in our next stitch. And we're just going to alternate between placing 1 and 2 double crochets going all the way around our row. And we want to make sure we place our first double crochet back in this same stitch where we've already placed our slip stitch. So when you get to the end of your row, you should have a total of 33 double crochets. And again, at the end of our row, we're going to skip our slip stitch as well as our chain 2, and then we're going to slip stitch into the top of our first double crochet stitch to join. And we're going to begin row 4 with a chain 2. And the pattern for this row is to place 1 double crochet in your first 2 stitches and then 2 double crochets in your third stitch. And we're just going to repeat that going around our row. And when we get done, we should have a total of 44 double crochets. And don't forget to place that first double crochet in your current stitch where you placed your slip stitch. And again, we're going to join by skipping our slip stitch and our chain 2, and then we're going to slip stitch into the top of our first double crochet. And that was our last row of increasing, so from here, each row should have a total of 44 stitches. And I'm just going to go ahead and flatten this out to start to train it to be flat. For row 5, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to place 1 single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch, starting right here with our current stitch. And so the back loop is just the loop furthest away from you when you're working this. And at the end of the row, we're going to skip our slip stitch and our chain 1, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of our first single crochet. From here, we're just going to repeat our last row 3 times so that we have a total of 4 rows of single crochets in the back loop only. So go ahead and complete those 3 rows, and I will meet back up with you there. And when you get to the end of your 4 rows, your pattern should look something like this. From here, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to place 1 single crochet up underneath the full stitch in each stitch in our row. And again, at the end of the row, we're going to skip our slip stitch and our chain 1, and then we're going to slip stitch into the top of our first single crochet. And for our next row, we're going to chain 1, and then working in these front loops from our last row of single crochets in the back loop only, I want you to locate your current front loop, which is right here on the seam, and we're going to skip these first 3 front loops, and then we're going to place a triple crochet in our 4th front loop right here. So to do that, yarn over twice, and then insert your crochet hook in that loop. We're going to yarn over and pull up through the loop, and then we're going to yarn over and drop 2 loops at a time until we complete our stitch. From here, working back up in the top portion of our row, we're going to place 1 single crochet in these next 3 stitches. So this is the stitch where we placed our slip stitch, so now we're going to place 1 single crochet in the following 3 stitches. And this next part we will repeat going around our row. So what we're going to do next is we're going to skip our next 3 front loops that we haven't already worked, and we're going to place a triple crochet in our 4th front loop. Working back up in the top portion of our row, we're going to skip our next stitch altogether and then place 1 single crochet in each of our following 3 stitches. Just like that. So we're just going to repeat that pattern going around our row. So I'm going to show you that one more time. We're going to skip our next 3 front loops and then place a triple crochet in our 4th front loop. Then working back up in the top portion of our row, we're going to skip our next stitch and then place 1 single crochet in each of the following 3 stitches. So go ahead and repeat this pattern going around your row, and when you get done, you should have a total of 44 stitches, and 11 of those should be this triple crochet that's slanted. And at the end of your row, as long as you haven't worked in your slip stitch, then your last triple crochet should line up with that last front loop, and you should have worked in your last stitch for that last single crochet. From here, we're going to skip our slip stitch and our chain 1, and then we're going to slip stitch into the top of that very first triple crochet right there. So from here, we're just going to repeat this section. So that's going to be 4 rows of single crochets in the back loop only to start. Then we're going to place our row of single crochets, and then we're going to place our slanted triple crochet stitch. and I will meet back up with you at the end to show you how to finish off this cozy. And I repeated our pattern until I had a total of 3 rows of my slanted triple crochet stitch. And I cut the last section of single crochets in the back loop only a little short because I didn't want it to go all the way up to the lip of the mason jar. You can of course add additional rows if you would like that. From here we're just going to cut and tie off our yarn. And I'm going to hide my tail down the inside of my cozy. And after inserting your wide mouth mason jar, your cozy should look something like this. Please let me know in the comments below if you experienced any issues while you were making this, and I will do my best to help you out. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel, Crochet with Julie. Thank you so much for working with me, and I hope you have a wonderful, awesome day.